So, hope your Thanksgiving week is going good right now. We have got a powerful winter storm that is expected to track through the northwestern United States, down to the central United States, and then up into potentially the East Coast, potentially going to reorganize out there. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the snowfall amounts. I'm going to talk about the timing. I'm going to talk about the wind and blizzard potential. And I'm also going to show you something at the end of the video. We got a super secret segment, and it'll help you predict winter storms for the weather enthusiasts. So let's crack right into this episode, a State of the Weather address. This is going to be for the 24th through the 28th. Okay, and the focus is the feisty Midwest snowstorm. So comment below. We're going to have a little bit of a contest here. How much snow will Omaha get for the specific storm between the 24th and the 28th? We'll say between the 24th and the 27th for Omaha, as that the storm will fall in that range. So how much snow will they get? Just comment below. And I'm going to pick one winner, and they're going to get a gift. Okay, just because it's the holiday season. They're going to get a 11 by 14 inch signed matted print of this photo I took out in Pender, Nebraska a few years back. So comment in the comments below. I'll pick one random winner. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, the Weather Warriors Facebook group, check that out. We got more contests. We got discussions about the storms on there if you're on Facebook. So let's crack right into it here. We'll look at the medium range forecast first. This is what I'm forecasting. This is something called the Snow Scope Index. We're just having a little bit of fun here, and this is going to be for the threat of 4+ inches of snow. And it essentially goes from a 1 to a 5. So 1 is a 1 out of 5 chance that you'll get 4+ inches of snow. But again, that's very early, so the odds are going to be a little bit lower farther out because there's a little bit less confidence. This is, a day or two before this is going to happen. So overall, I think the areas in light blue, about a 20% chance. 1 out of 5 is about a 20% chance. This blue area right here in the mountains is going to be a 2 out of 5. But I got to tell you, the areas where there's higher elevations, it's going to be like a 5 out of 5, obviously. In the mountainous regions, you're going to get a lot more snow. I'm talking kind of the valleys and stuff. I'm not going to draw every mountain out on here, but, the mountains obviously are going to get several inches. And then the area of focus right now is going to be Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, out to Michigan. This is where the most likely area of snow is going to be, at least moderate amounts. And we even got a 3 out of 5 chance, so that's a greater than 50%. That's right out there in southern Iowa, northern Missouri, maybe even out into the Wisconsin, Illinois panhandle. I think there's a lot of confidence that that storm is going to be in there. And that's where we got our snow scope. We got it right over Iowa. So that is going to be the key focus here. Now, what's going to happen here, we're going to look at these low pressure systems. This is the 23rd right here, where I'm going to forecast the low. It's going to track to the southeast on the 24th, okay, and it's going to hit Wyoming. It's going to continue to track, but what's going to happen as it gets into Kansas is it's going to start to bend, kind of like those hurricanes do. That bend is critical. When that happens, is pretty critical, because if it happens sooner, you could be dealing with snow a lot further north. If it happens later, it's going to be further south. But it's going to bend, and then by the 25th, it's going to be right near and south of Kansas City, the low pressure system. Now, the snow is going to be on the northwest side, because when you get these lows, you get your cold front like that, your warm front like that, and then you get your comma head back here on the back side of it, usually be a little further north. And so so that's going to be the 25th, and then the 26th, it's going to track out towards Indiana, south of Chicago. It's going to be close with Chicago. It might be a little bit farther north, but I think the snow band might just be near North Chicago. It's going to be very close. And then what's going to happen is this thing's going to kind of weaken out here, and then it's going to re-strengthen kind of out in the Atlantic Ocean as it moves east. And what's going to happen is that's going to draw some warm, moist air, some cold air behind it. There's a lot of cold air from this low pressure system that's already dragged down. That's just going to be sitting out there, and it's going to fuel potentially several inches way inland in Maine, northern New York, just the northern parts of the Northeast there. And, so we're going to have to watch that, if that happens or not. It's something that could happen around the 26th to 28th or 9th or so. So that's what the general picture is looking at. Now, how about the blizzard potential? How about the winds here? Something called the Blizzometer Index that I just decided to create here for this show, and it's the probability of blizzard conditions here. And again, same ordeal. 1 to 5, 1 right here is a 1 out of 5 chance, so a 20% chance of confidence, at least right now. And then a 2 out of 5 down here in southern Iowa, northern Missouri, northeast Kansas, southeast Nebraska, northern Illinois, where we got potentially 40-50% chance of blizzard conditions. It's very borderline at the moment, but definitely going to have to keep a watch on that. And again, that would be around the 25th or so. So it's time for the Weather Dakota tool shed. Now, the tools we're going to look at today is tropical tidbits. And so these are the weather models. I'm going to show you how much snowfall these things are forecasting. Okay, it's a little bit far out, but we're going to look at these for fun. It's YouTube. You're going to see everything behind the curtains on my channel. So you can actually check this out if you're a weather enthusiast. It's pretty easy. Weather models. Okay, so tropicaltidbits.com. So let's go right on over to Tropical Tidbits here. And we're going to look at this storm system in more detail here. This is the GFS computer model, and we'll fast forward this to when the storm is going to happen. And this is the 23rd, okay? And you can see it's out in Wyoming, or excuse me, hold on. Get the marker here. It's out in Montana around this time, and it's going to be kind of a little bit less organized up there. You can see it right there. There's a low pressure right there. It's lots of snow, stuff like that. And then we're going to fast forward this into the future here. And we'll go out to, let's go to the 25th. And this is the morning of the 25th, 6 a.m. or so. That low pressure system, you can see it kind of bends and that starts to move to the northeast. This has actually been trending farther south. That cut to the northeast has been happening later and later, which means this could be moving further south. And Kansas, all of a sudden, Missouri, all of a sudden, under the gun here. And here's our low pressure system right here. Cold fronts, going to be something like this right here. Warm front probably down there, and then an occlusion up there. And what's going to happen is north of that low pressure system, you're going to get a nice band. There's actually a low pressure system up here that dragged down a nice cold front. Okay, going to have a lot of Arctic air in place, and you're going to get some a nice area of snow right here, and you can see that pressure gradient. There's a high up here, kind of farther, high up in Canada. This marker is really starting to slow down for whatever reason, but anyway, going to be plenty of cold air to work with, and you can see this pressure gradient right here. This is the thing you're going to want to watch throughout the entire life cycle of this thing. When you get isobars like this, those black lines are isobars, constant equal pressure. When they're very tightly packed together, there's a strong pressure gradient. So you got very high pressure over here, very low pressure over there. Well, the high is going to want to move to the low, and with other effects on the earth, it kind of spins around in a circle around that low. And what that's going to do is it's create a lot of wind, okay, a lot of motion, a lot of wind that's going to occur here. And so lots of wind where those tightly packed isobars are. And look at that, right over that snow. So that's why I have included at least a slight chance of blizzard conditions. Again, not likely yet. Looks kind of borderline, but slight to moderate chance in that region there. So let's fast forward this into Monday. Okay, that's going to be Monday the 26th. And look at that. It tracks into Illinois, very close to Chicago. Very heavy snow band right there. And that is really heavy snow. Right near that transition zone is where you get your heaviest snow. You could, almost that looks kind of thunder snow-like in nature. But, look at that. Chicago, hitting Chicago. So that'll be interesting to see. I don't know. Again, this is continuing to move farther and farther south. So I would actually put Chicago under the gun here. And then, this it's very quick. It's like a 6-hour snow band. Tracks into Michigan on the 26th. And look what's happens here. It starts to weaken. But watch what happens out here. Here's our low pressure here. This is the area you want to watch. A new low starts to form out here. You can see a cold front warm front ordeal, new cold front, warm front developing, new low pressure developing there. And that's going to draw in some rich moisture from the Atlantic here. Now watch what happens. Boom. The 27th starts to give inland parts of New York, I would especially say Maine here, some snow. And then that low pressure system to the west kind of meanders its way out. That northern branch kind of actually re-strengthens a little bit and then brings in some more snow showers for the northeast through the 29th, it looks like. This is the 27th. We'll go out to the 29th. Just kind of snow showers, maybe some lake effect snow as well. And so several inches could stack up inland. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. So that's a general storm track. Now let's look at the snowfall amounts. And we'll look at that real quick by the GFS computer model. Go to precip moisture and then a 24-hour snowfall. Actually, we'll do total snowfall right here. Total snowfall. And this is going to start out at the current time, and then we'll fast forward it all the way into the future, and it'll keep adding snow on top of, each hour. So wait for this to load, and I don't think they have a way to scroll down here. Here we go. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the snowfall amounts, and we'll fast forward this into the future. Okay, so this is the 24th, the 25th right here, 26th, and then the 27th, 28th, and then 29th. And you can see that snow really stacks up all over the place. This area right here in central Iowa out to maybe southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois is going to be the heaviest area, and it actually has several inches. So we can zoom in to that real quick. We'll check that out. Everywhere else it's like a few inches, and then the northeast obviously has more. So look at the north central U.S. here for the snowfall amounts, and the GFS has a good 4 to 7 inches, 4 to 8 inches. I'll go back real quick. That was the previous run. That was actually the previous run there, and then we can fast forward this to the current run. And there you go. You got like 4 to 6 inches or so. I think this is a little bit underdone, actually. Probably going to be a little bit more. And, the previous run, if you go back an hour or a few hours here, the previous run had several inches out there. Well, that was, we'll go 2 runs back, I guess. But, some of the models have actually been showing a foot or more. I think that's overdone, but the European computer model had a good swath of 10 inches out in central southern Iowa, southeast Nebraska, northeast Kansas, northern Missouri, out to parts of Illinois. I think that's overdone. I think this is going to be a quick, packed band. And the area near the low pressure, just north of low pressure here, that is what's, you're going to see 6+ inch amounts in that area. And again, that most likely area is going to be southern Iowa, south central Iowa, out to, eastern Iowa, out into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. But I think this band's going to continue to move a little bit farther south. Okay, so that's going to be very close to Chicago. Chicago is going to be on the edge, but I think it's going to continue to move a little bit further south. There's been a major southwestward trend to this storm system by all models. The European model is now catching on to the GFS. So very interesting here, and I think we can actually look. Let's see, lower dynamics. We might be able to find a trend here. I guess not. I guess it's not on here right now, but yeah, I've looked at it earlier, and there was it looked like there was a southward trend, and it was actually a strengthening trend to the storm system. So overall, I think the heaviest band is going to be a good large swath of 2 to 4 inches for northeast Kansas, southeast Nebraska, all of Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, northern Missouri, and then a stronger swath, probably southern Iowa, out into this area of probably more like 4 to 8 inches or so. In the heaviest area, you might have an 8, maybe a 10-inch amount somewhere in the heaviest area. Probably not a foot or more, but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a little bit less than that. It's going to be kind of a quick, feisty little storm with lots of wind. And so speaking of wind, let's look at the wind here real quick. We'll go to the wind here, and then we'll look at the northeast and see what they got going on. But we'll first look at this. And most of the wind speeds are going to be, like 20 to 30 miles per hour here. And so here you go. Look at that wind out in northeastern Kansas. This is your scale right here. This is knots. So add times it by 0.15, and you can see northeast Kansas, 30 to 35 miles per hour. But it's not really snowing there much. And then as we get toward the 25th here, when that storm system, that snow is in Nebraska, Iowa, parts of Kansas, you can see wind speeds generally in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range. Now down here it's 30 plus, 35 miles an hour, but there's not snow down there. So the snow is going to be up in this area, and that's where you're going to get your 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. So close to blizzard conditions, but not quite. But again, this thing could change. This thing could move north. And so that's why I've kept particularly areas in northwest Missouri, northeast Kansas, southeast Nebraska, and southwest Iowa, and the highest threat for this blizzard potential. Again, slight to moderate chance, but the chance is there. And it actually kind of strengthens. The winds kind of strengthen as it gets towards Chicago and near the lakes. And then, so that's going to be fun to watch. And so that's why I've extended that heavy wind threat all the way out to Chicago. So let's look at the Northeast real quick for the snowfall amounts, and then we'll call it good on the forecast here. So we'll go to the Northeast United States. We'll look at the snowfall amounts for the GFS and go to lower dynamics, and then look at, the precipitation, and then we'll look at the total accumulated snowfall for this period. And again, you can actually check these out on tropicaltidbits.com. So even if them on there. This is the 27th here, 28th. Lots of light snow that comes through this area. And you can see amounts generally, aside from the mountains here, kind of in that 3 to 6 inch range. But look at the lakes, the mountains. You got pockets of 6+ inches. Okay, so a little bit far out. I mean, 186 hours is pretty far out. But yet, maybe we make another video in a few days here. Like the day before or something. But, definitely something to watch. I think northern Maine and, definitely under the gun here. So, for sure. I mean, I think that's, I don't think I've heard much about it yet, but definitely keep track of this. It's going to be fun to watch. So, that's pretty much what that's looking like now for the old forecast. Now, I think we got one more thing here. Let's see. Yeah, this is a super secret segment. We'll get into that in a second here. So if you like this video, though, and you don't want to stick around, go ahead and click subscribe. We got weekly videos here. Mondays, we got state of the weather addresses. These are forecasting breakdowns, long-range forecasts, stuff like that. Sometimes we release some like, today and stuff as well. Wednesdays, we got Weather Decoded TV, weather tutorials, if you want to learn how to forecast the weather. And then Friday, we got surprise videos, storm chases, stuff like that. So go ahead and subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, comment below, again, that contest, how much snow will Omaha receive? Again, the winner, I'll pick a winner, and they'll get a 11 by 14 inch print of this photo right here. So comment below, and now it's time for the super secret segment. Now, these are for weather enthusiasts. If you want to learn how to forecast the weather, we got a little small 1 to 2 minute tutorial here, and we're going to talk about thickness, the measurement in meters between two pressure surfaces. So we were looking at those maps, and when you got two pressure surfaces, you got like your surface, and then you got your jet stream. When that distance increases, like it expands, so here's maybe another scenario where it kind of expands, that means there's a lot more warm air in between. Okay, there's expansion happening. And so that's kind of a way you can measure how much warm air is in the atmosphere. And when it contracts, we get colder air typically. And again, warm air expands the column, cold air contracts it. And you can see this map, that snowstorm we were talking about. The 540 thickness line, that's means the column between 1,000 millibars and 5,000 millibars is essentially the surface, and just near and below the jet stream, it's 5,400 meters. That's the height of the column. So if you go back here, it's 528, which would be 5,280. So you can see they shrink out here, those columns, and then they expand out here. So that means warmer air, where you get those higher thickness plots, which is farther south, and then colder air farther north typically, and you can use these to track these storm systems. Okay, here's your low pressure on the 25th for that storm system, and you can see those height lines begin to, or the thickness lines begin to decrease, and so that means there's more colder air back there. Now this 540 line right here typically means the average temperature in the atmosphere, that column, kind of ends up being about 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, typically, not always, just kind of an average here, and that will obviously lead to frozen precipitation. So you can say, okay, anything along and north of that line probably most likely going to be frozen precipitation. Now, obviously, some things can vary. There can be warm pockets in the atmosphere that can change things. But overall, that looks pretty good. I mean, here's your 540 line, and north of that, you get the snow. South of that, you get the rain. And you can also find fronts with these thickness lines. When you get a tight gradient like that, probably a cold front in the area. You get cold to warm with isobars crossing it like that. You get cold air advection, north winds. Here's your low pressure system. You can kind of find them in the kinks of the isobars like this. So it's probably kind of something like that right there. There's your cold front. And then your warm front is probably somewhere kind of like that. And then an occlusion front over here like that. So that's kind of a little trick you can use to forecast the weather and to help you forecast these storm systems, try to find those fronts, and just generally get the general picture of the storm system. So I hope you found that enjoyable, and we'll have more of these if you like these. And again, hope you enjoyed today's video, and subscribe if you're interested in this. And again, comment below for that forecasting contest as well. So hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you soon.